Everyone, and welcome back to the 2013 PIRA Stakeholders Convention, Innovate or Stagnate. Please welcome your moderator for this afternoon. She's the President and CEO of Allied Bankers Insurance, and she's also a member of the PIRA Board of Trustees, Ms. Rebecca de la Cruz.
Good afternoon to everyone. I hope you all had a very great time with your lunch and of course with your networking. So far, this PIRA Stakeholders Convention has lived up to its promise as an enlightening and worthwhile experience. We have 5 more very interesting topics this afternoon, and I hope you can sustain your energy. And to help us sustain your energy, I would like to call on our host this morning, Dick Cabusao, for a 1-minute icebreaker. Dick?
May I please ask everybody to go to your seats? Upo kayo para meron tayong gagawin sandali.
Nakaupo, nakatayo.
Hindi, sige. Punta kayo in front of your seats and then may I ask everybody to please stand up. Second year natin sa campus tour. Second year. For 2 years, when we started the campus tour, in all of the universities or colleges that we went through, I always start with this exercise. So, everybody please follow me.
Ben. You cannot reach. Imaginary. Imaginary massage na lang if you cannot reach someone. Okay, that's all. Thank you very much. And perhaps, for another icebreaker, if you actually listen to the sessions this morning for our 2 speakers, maybe we should have a little test, and we have a prize. I'm going to ask 3 questions. Okay, review. So I hope the senior moments will not come in. Okay, the first question, please raise your hand and then we'll call you to go to the microphone. The first question, this is coming from the talk of Marvin Fausto. What is the average age of the Filipino population? Okay, there you are. 25, correct. Pero may kasunod na question yon. Kala mo may prize na, no? The next partner question. When will be the sweet period? When will be the start of the sweet period? As mentioned also during the talk of Marvin Fausto. You should know. Okay, Mitch. 2015 onwards, correct. Also, meron na ako ditong where's the prize? Okay, we have a winner. Split nyo daw, but then Mitch will actually give the prize to her. Okay, next question. This time, we're looking at the talk of Mon Sandueta. He actually identified 3 significant risks in his talk. And what are those 3 significant risks that he mentioned? From this row, please. Yes. Okay, cyber risk, environmental risk, and terrorism. Nakikinig siya. Okay, there's another prize for her. Okay, my last question. Ito medyo paragraph na to. Okay, what is PIRA doing? It's actually in the PIRA fact book. What is PIRA doing to make the insurance more affordable to every Filipino? From that area, can we have a volunteer? It's actually there. You know this very well. Wag na kayong mahiya. What is PIRA doing to make the insurance more affordable to every Filipino? You should know. There.
Reduce taxes.
Okay, reduce taxes. Why? How much is our taxes right now?
Averaging 27, right?
Around
26.
26, 27%.
Something.
Okay, there you are. So there's a prize for you. Okay, thank you very much. So I hope for this afternoon session, you will all be wide awake as we have a lot of very interesting topics to be covered this afternoon. And let me start off this afternoon session with a very important topic. We all know that we live in the so-called digital age. And part of this digital age is the development of innovative ways of reaching out to our target market. Thus, we have this thing called online marketing. To provide us with important insights on this very timely topic, we have invited an expert from Singapore. Our speaker started as a chartered accountant. Take note, chartered accountant. I didn't know that chartered accountants could also be creative. He started as a chartered accountant with Price Waterhouse in 1981 and in 1983 went on to start a career in the United Kingdom insurance industry. He has held various senior roles in several companies and was acting CEO for Lloyd's Market Association during its inception period. In October 1999, he became a shareholder in Omni Finance and Investment Group, which acquired the Whittington Group, where he was appointed CEO for insurance markets. Whittington's group main investment is DirectAsia.com, a pioneering online personal lines insurer in Singapore, Hong Kong, and later this year, Thailand. Our speaker now serves as chairman of DirectAsia Insurance and is actively involved in the regional expansion and promotion of this business. Ladies and gentlemen, let's all welcome, direct from Singapore, Mr. Anthony G.P. Hobro.
Wow. Not sure how to follow that. Maybe a bit of this again or something else. An innovative, exciting accountant or something. I can just tell you I was a very bad accountant. So that might explain why I quickly moved on to something more inventive. So I'm here apparently as an expert. Where's the pointer? Oh, have you got that? What do I do? My first confession is I don't really count myself as an online marketing expert. We launched this business 3.5 years ago because we discovered that there was really no real online personal lines insurer in quite a lot of Asia. Before that, I was in Lloyd's. I was in big ticket commercial and reinsurance. So my learning curve has gone like this. So I'm here more to kind of explain what I've learned and try and share with you some thoughts about online marketing. I'm certainly not a guru, and this presentation is not really about marketing per se, and it's certainly not really about insurance, but it does take those two elements because of Direct Asia together. I just say the last time I made a speech, actually, I was asked to speak on innovation in insurance, which is kind of slightly more interesting topic. During that presentation, I had this crazy idea that I would use a frisbee as part of the presentation. And I hurled it into the audience. And as it left my hand, I saw, like here, everyone had glasses of water on their table. And I was thinking, oh no. But luckily, someone caught it. So what is marketing? Well, in this context, I really like this quote. Marketing's not a battle of products, it's a battle of perceptions. And I think that's true of so many things in life. Online marketing, as opposed to ordinary marketing, is very much about pull, not about push. I think there's significant evidence really all over the world that most of us are pretty fed up with cold calling, passing shops. You walk down Singapore and you pass Prada, bing, you suddenly got an SMS, a bit of marketing from Prada. Before in Thailand, I know everyone gets called for renewal of their motor business. Push, push, push. We're all being fed up with being sold to. And the great thing about online marketing is it's really more about pull than it is about push. And again, I think everything should be attractive. Online should be as attractive as it is going into a nice shop, buying a nice handbag, buying some clothes. So what I'm going to say is, online marketing has some parallels with ordinary marketing, and it should be a positive, nice experience. Very, very key to any marketing. These days, big data is the thing that's talked about at every conference. The amount of data about all of us on the internet is absolutely staggering. And I don't know how many people have been to a big data seminar, but they usually take 2 or 3 people they don't know, ask their names. 20 minutes later, they come back and tell them where they've banked, what cars they own, where they live, how many brothers and sisters. I mean, just extraordinary amount of data about all of us on the internet. So internet marketing is very much about being able to segment the market through research. And the research is there, the data is there. We need to find a way to reach the right people at the right time in the right place, and then to engage them. Like a nice experience in a shop, online should be the same. You should enjoy coming back to a website. You should get something positive from it. Those of you who have either been to London or ever bought motor insurance, in the UK, the market for online motor is extraordinary. One of the leading comparison sites called Compare the Market introduced a character to help market, which was a meerkat. Anybody aware of the meerkats? Yeah, well, okay, their company is called CompareTheMarket.com. They invented CompareTheMeerkat.com and have a whole series of Russian-speaking meerkat family promoting their business. Incredibly inventive, very, very innovative. All the kids now have meerkats. So here's boring, traditional insurance turned on its head through the internet medium and through an internet website. Geico in the States used the gecko, little talking gecko. A great feature and a really, really attractive online piece of marketing. And just go and look at it, it's fantastic. You'll see it on YouTube as well. So once you've got an interesting website, you still then have to kind of keep track of what's going on, who's visiting them, and make them want to return. I'm going to just give you a few statistics to back up how important the internet is. Can anyone guess or anyone know how many emails in the world are sent daily? Anybody hazard a guess? That light is so bright. Anybody hazard a guess? I'll give you a clue. It's in billions. How many billions? 150. You've been reading my script. Absolutely right. About 150 billion emails are sent daily. There are 1 billion active Facebook users, and 30 million of them are in the Philippines. The next statistic's even more awesome. 187 million Americans watch 48 billion online content videos in 1 month during 2013. And there are 5 billion Google searches every day. So if anybody doesn't think the internet is going to affect our lives, just look at that. Just to give you a bit more breakdown, that shows you Asia around about 1 billion internet users, and you compare that to the rest of the world. If you segment it, it's about 50% of internet users are resident in Asia. 1 billion internet users, which is 45% of the world, but only 27.5% penetration, whereas in Europe and the USA, it's around 70%. So with that kind of penetration, you can still see the enormous potential of the internet around this part of the world. And marketing to that is truly awesome in its complexity and potential. And finding the actual customers you want amongst all that is even more awesome. Okay, so now I'll just give you a quick run through of some of the components of online marketing, and I'll try and illustrate it from time to time with a little bit of experience. By the way, if anybody wants to interrupt, I much prefer interactive than giving a speech, so throw something at me, ask me a question, do what you like, and I'd be happy to stop or tell you a story in the middle. Okay, these are the things I'm quickly going to cover. Website, blogs, emails, displays, pay-per-click, search engine optimization, conversion ratio optimization, social media, video marketing, and remarketing. I have no idea how familiar this is to the audience, but from my little bit of research, there's not a lot of online insurance in the Philippines, so I'm assuming that some of this will be interesting. Start with the website itself. Jeff Bezos said, if you do build a great experience, customers will tell each other about it. Word of mouth is very powerful. Well, absolutely true. I can tell you in Singapore, we started 3.5 years ago with an internet site with a totally unknown brand. Our biggest source of customer today, and has been since launch, is word of mouth. So the experience that people get through our service and through the website, it's actually people communicating that, whether it be through blogs or friends and family, that is still the biggest source of our business. I think one of the things I learned extremely early on, being a man arrogant enough to think he has some intuition, even though he's a man, not a lady, is that on the website, we started with something that I really liked. It was very clean, corporate colors. And then we had our specialist search engine optimization manager come in, and to start with, in my view, started messing around. It became cluttered, the colors were changed, the logo, it wasn't as clear. And I was going, what are you doing? You're ruining my website, ruining my brand, this is beautiful. Then he showed me statistics. You move a red buy button to a green button, 15, 20, in some cases 150% difference in click-throughs. Positioning of elements on the screen, colors on the screen, the words that we used for calls to action. Some I liked, some I didn't. but we could track every one of those and he could tell me the impact of it. So intuition out the window, because human behavior doesn't seem to be what I would think was the intuitively obvious thing. The lesson from that is test, 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 track and test again. And the wonderful thing about being on the internet is you can test. I can have a website and send 8 different versions. When you click on, you don't know which version you're getting that. And there'll be 1 slight or 2 slight changes. So I can measure the response for each of those changes and see which works best, which clicks we get more through. So you can, unlike in actual marketing, where frankly you spend a load of money, you know that somebody said this, you know that 50% is wasted, but you don't know which 50%. At least on the internet, you can measure almost everything. So test, 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 track, and test. And tiny, tiny things can have quite a big impact on your click-through. Where am I? No. So it's quite complex in some ways. The navigation through a website, you know how annoying it is if you're working through a website. Even small things like the cursor's not moving on between the dates, or you can't get back to a screen you did before. So all those things have to be worked out and be optimized. And then there's data gathering. And again, for insurers here, most of you will be selling motor insurance through agents, through brokers, maybe through bank assurance. Getting specific data about your customers is actually quite hard because there's an intermediary sitting in the way. When you're on the internet, you can ask and get questions and answers to all the specific questions that you actually want, and it's your data. But you've got to ask them in a way that's not too painful. If you ask 50 questions, nobody's going to buy motor policy, they get bored. So you've got to find the optimum way, but at least you get really, really good quality data. The other element is fraud, actually. We are very specific that we insure the driver, not the car. So we ask question time and again, actually, who is the main driver? And the main driver will influence the price you get with us. Now, we can see people who go on and they try the policy being in dad's name, in the uncle's name, in the father's name, in the mother's name. So they're trying all these to see what difference in price, when actually they're buying a policy for their son to drive the car every day. Now, the wonderful thing about this is we know, because if later the son's driving has an accident, we can go back to this data and go, hang on a minute, you tested us out on father, on mother, on grandfather. Who was actually driving? You said it was not the son. So there's a lot of data gathering here again, which is useful for fraud prevention. Formatting, part of the complexity these days, you have to format your internet site for desktops, laptops, tablets, phablets. There's a word I picked up recently. Phone tablets. Smartphones. And I think very much in the Philippines, actually, some of this is just going to be bypassed. Desktops will never really be the thing. You're already tablet and smartphone enabled. And then you have to make it work in all the search engines and work across all operating systems. So some complexity. Okay, that's enough about the website. And the website's all about the experience you get once you're on the internet and have come there. So part of this program I'm going to talk to you is also you have to encourage people to come. One incredibly useful way of getting people to come and visit you is the use of blogs. It's been shown that something like 70% more leads are generated from businesses that have a good blog. A good blog is entertaining. It can be informative. It creates a bond between your visitor and you. you can become a source of something interesting, something that people want to go back to. You can become a thought leader. You enhance your credibility. So blogs are becoming increasingly important, and also they feed each other because other blog writers will become circular. If you write good blogs, then it actually spreads around the internet, and incidentally, it will improve your search criteria through Google. Emails. I'm sure you all get emails. I think, again, the key for email marketing, if you're an internet-driven business, you can actually make those emails very targeted because, as I said, you know your customer, you know their renewal dates, you've got their contact details. So you can use emails in not a random spray, but actually in a targeted way. And if you support that with your marketing and advertising campaigns, it can be very, very powerful. We use them for offers, for news, for updates. Again, all ways of creating a bond, a link between the visitor to your website and you, the business. And again, you can track. It's very easy to track. Displays and pay-per-click. Display banners you've all seen wherever you are on the internet. All sorts of display banners, whether they're static or they're moving or they're videos. The use of display banner, if you're a motor insurer, you want to place it on like second-hand car sales sites. Relevant sites where the consumer is already thinking about the right topic. So again, placing this is incredibly important on the relevant sites. Using Google paid ads, I guess you all know that the top usually 3 and down the side of a Google search, they're all paid. You pay for that. So especially in the early stages of building an internet business, you're not going to come in the top 3 of a Google search for quite some time. So we all use the kind of paid block at the side or the top of Google to get our name onto the front page. And then the search engine optimization work will kick in after a period, and hopefully you'll get an organic search and you'll be able to drop the cost of paying for these adverts on Google. You can also, of course, buy space on other websites and like rent an advert on a second-hand car sales site or whatever's relevant to you, and you'll pay an amount of money every click-through from that site. This can be very expensive, but again, it can be the ROI can be easily measured because you actually know how many clicks and what it's costing you. SEO, one of the many bits of jargon. I don't know how many of you have played with Google algorithms. Does penguin and panda mean anything to anybody? There must be some. Google, even up to a couple of years ago, the game on Google was really to build a whole load of links and kind of outsmart the Google algorithm so that your website was search came in the top 3, the front page. And actually, if you really work hard and build loads of links and stuff, you could get yourself up Google quite quickly. Not now. The algorithms have changed enormously, actually very recently, and Google's much more concerned now with the quality of all the links, the quality of the data, the quality of your website. So it's much, much more difficult. So quality has become much more of an issue than before it was kind of volume and links. And staying on top of this, because Google doesn't actually tell you, you don't know, exactly what they've done to the algorithm. So it's a constant battle to try and make sure that your website is easily found as possible, and therefore on organic search gets in the top page. It's quite hard to get to top 3 of page 1, I have to say. especially if you're using keywords like motor insurance or cheap insurance. These words are used, by brokers, by insurers, obviously. So those sort of keyword searches are incredibly important, but actually quite hard to get your business in the top few. Of course, once you've got your customer onto your website and he's starting to look, that's not enough, because of all the visitors to your website, they won't all buy. So actually converting those customers into sales is what's called conversion ratio optimization. Again, on the internet, you can measure this at every step. We know where every customer stops or falls out or doesn't continue on to the next page. So we're constantly looking, what can we do to this page to encourage the customer to go to the next stage? Or why has he gone to all the problem or all the fuss of getting a quote and then not paying? So all these elements, again on the internet, you can really focus on and measure, which you can't in general marketing adverts. So getting that funnel from the visitors down to sales is, again, a really key skill. And making people buy, again, it's test, 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 because small things can really radically change the behavior. You can use the mouse, for instance. Mouse movements are quite a good surrogate for eye movements. So we heat map people who come onto the site with the mouse movement. So we know where on the screen that their eyes are. And of course, that's the section that you want to put what you really want to get across. Might be a call to action, it might be a marketing slogan. So there are all sorts of surrogates for eye movements. You can do eye movements too, but that's a lot more complicated. But mouse movements are a good surrogate, and heat mapping your internet site is just as critical, actually, as shops. You go into Prada, they have cameras that watch everybody where they go. They go from ties to belts, from belts to handbags. They will be able to heat map every customer. It's the same on the internet. Social media, well, you can't really get away from this. As I said, 30 million Facebook users in the Philippines with 30% penetration. I mean, it's quite amazing. Thailand, 18 million. Taiwan, 57% of the population are on Facebook, 13.5 million users. Facebook has become, whether we like it or not, and other, the Twitters, Google+, LinkedIn, they have become absolutely critical to all of us and every marketing campaign. So social media is one of the really major tools now. And again, it's about creating this bond between your visitor, your potential customer, and you, and enticing people to come back. I don't have a great deal more to say, but I just want to end up with a few other things. As I gave you that statistic earlier, using videos, the power of the video in the internet is quite extraordinary. And the real key is if you can get one of your videos to go viral and just spin around the internet all on itself, so you get hundreds and hundreds of thousands of views on YouTube, that's a real art. And it's very rarely expensive ones. You've looked on YouTube. It's always the quirky, the funny, the slightly odd. These are not expensive, but they have to be different and engaging. And that's tough but fun. If you can get a viral YouTube bit of marketing, it's done for you. And then the last element that I wanted to talk about was remarketing. Remarketing is that slightly irritating habit that you've been on the internet, maybe you've been to our website, later you go onto a used car site and you're choosing your next car, or even a Mercedes site or any other site, and suddenly Direct Asia pops up. And remarketing is all about tracking your customers wherever they go on the internet, and when they're going to a site that is relevant to your product, bunging up a banner or a flash or a video or something and reminding them about you. It's called remarketing. It's, if you know it's being done, it's kind of irritating, but most of us just experience it, and we all do it. I don't know whether you know, I mean, we know where everyone's come from and where they go to. I mean, it's scary, the internet. So, you know, if we have 20% of our customers coming from porn sites, where do we act? You know, we go to a porn site. Luckily, we don't, but, you know everything, and we can remarket and focus on people at the right time in the relevant spots for marketing again to them. I have one little, that kind of leads me into a little story, actually, which is true. I said with Google, it used to be all about links. And we bought up a lot of website names that were anything like Direct Asia, Asia Direct, anything that we could find. And we built up probably hundreds of websites and had links to quite a lot. Anyway, with the change in the Google algorithm, actually the quality of those links became important. So we went back and looked at the websites we had, looked at the links we had, and basically de-linked from a lot. One in particular that we had to de-link from was a website called directasians.com. You might imagine what that was, and it wasn't helping our Google search. That's absolutely true. So, I would say online, without doubt, is here to stay. It's the brave new world of marketing. I think there's absolutely no escape from it. My total belief is that the days of paying 30% commission to agents is beginning to end. It's virtually ended in Australia. It's ended in the UK, in the US, most of Europe now. It's starting in Asia. It will sweep. It'll get to the Philippines a little later because you need bigger internet penetration, credit card, but it's coming. I really, really, totally believe it cannot be ignored. Another little story before I stop, because I'm being flashed for time here. I was talking to, I can't tell you the name, but a very, very large insurance corporation, I'll say broadly Asian headquartered, yesterday morning, actually yesterday afternoon from my hotel, because they expressed an interest in investing in us. And this is a very big corporation, and I've kind of got used to being my own boss and a bit wary about working for a very large corporation. And I said to them, can you just talk me through the strategic reasons why you're interested in us? Anyway, it turned out, and this is a giant, okay? They said, we're just beginning to think that online direct internet marketing is a channel that we should be looking at. I just nearly, I fell apart. I just thought, this is a giant organization, and they just think now that they should be looking at internet. I mean, that's just amazing to me, and I don't want to work for them. I love this quote, just to end. Conformity is the jailer of freedom and the enemy of growth. So, dare to be different, have fun, and the internet is with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Anthony Hobro, for that very interesting sharing and learning. So, dare to be different. So with 150 billion emails, 1 billion Facebook users, of which 30 million are from the Philippines, with 30% penetration ratio, 1 billion internet users, with 27.5 penetration ratio, with the blogs having 55% generating traffic and 70% more leads. That's really opening a great potential for online marketing for us. So the challenge is, how do we convert this into a real sale? So while you're thinking, let me now pull, not push, our next speaker. So our next topic is about motor car repair research, another very interesting subject. Motor car insurance is a major line of business in the Philippines, and it is only proper that we look into what we can learn on it through research. And when it comes to research on motor vehicles, one company in the United Kingdom stands out, and this is the Thatcham Research Center. Thatcham is an expert in safety, security, and crash repair. It provides a unique range of products and services to assist with a safe and cost-effective repair of motor vehicles. This company also works closely with vehicle manufacturers to influence the design of new vehicles in containing the cost of motor insurance claims. Our speaker for this topic is an engineer by training. He joined Thatcham as a project officer in 1993 and worked on the production of repair times for the UK insurance industry. Over time, he built relationships with vehicle manufacturers that saw Thatcham not only produce the repair times and methods for the insurance industry, but also for the Jaguar Land Rover Group. In 2005, our speaker moved into the Vehicle Security Department at Thatcham and was part of a successful team that to date has saved the insurance industry in the UK over £1 billion from theft prevention. In 2008, he founded the Bangkok branch of Thatcham, and 18 months later, had negotiated a contract to supply group rating to the Thai insurance industry. Ladies and gentlemen, to talk about Thatcham, the Motor Insurance Repair Research Center, another innovation, let's all welcome Mr. Dennis Mins.
Okay, let me just get set up here. Wow, those lights are bright. So good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for allowing us to speak here today. I'd like to go through a presentation we have on group racing. We've now been doing group racing in the UK for 40 years and in Thailand for just over 3 years. So I have a bit of an icebreaker at the beginning of my video, so you might, don't blink or you might miss it. So oh, it didn't play. Is it going to play? Play. Is there anybody over there? No. Oh. Yeah, I wouldn't want to be in there. But even at 64 kph, which is what that was, you know that's an NCAP standard crash. You can still find that you can do that kind of damage on cars at 6 kph if the design is not, up to a good standard. So Thatcham, the Motor Insurance Repair Research Center. Yeah, and today we're honored to discuss with you Thatcham's Group Rating Program, one of our core services to the motor insurers. We'll cover many areas, and should you have any questions, well, I'll get to them, not at the end, but when I come back. Firstly, though, what I'd like to say is that group rating does not set premium, okay? It only determines the vehicle risk, which is part of a bigger formula used by the insurers to more accurately calculate premium, but it doesn't set what your customers pay. So, our mission, influencing the design of vehicles in order to reduce accidents, improve safety and security, thereby driving down claims costs. Yeah, and group rating achieves this because the Thatcham vehicle rating is a key influencer in which cars customers choose to buy. So Thatcham UK, established in 1969, we have 190 employees. We're owned jointly by the members of the Association of British Insurers and Lloyd's Market Association. And we're a founder member of the Research Council for Automotive Repairs, an international body of 26 insurance-sponsored repair research centres in 19 countries. Thatcham, Thailand. Established in 2007, we now have 7 employees, and we're funded jointly by all of the members of the General Insurance Association of Thailand. We operate a group rating and parts accreditation service. Okay, so if you do not have a group rating system, then you can actually, not only are you not underwriting successfully, but you are obviously, you'll have a great lack of understanding on your insured cost of your motor portfolio. You'll have a lack of understanding of new vehicle technologies. You'll have low pre-launch awareness of new vehicles. Technology will drive increases in repair and costs of repairs. And, we've seen this over the last 10 years. And the most important thing is if you have no dialogue with the manufacturers, how can you make change? That is the bottom one of each 4 pillars you see in front of you, whether it's inaccurate underwriting, parts costs, vehicle theft, or damageability. Parts, you're going to have higher parts costs. They'll continually rise year on year. You'll have no way of capping them, and you won't even know what they'll cost from one week to another. Vehicle theft will continue to rise if you don't talk to the manufacturers and ask them to put in, a criteria of theft reduction. That is, it's a key driver of consumer unhappiness if somebody walks outside one morning when they want to go to work and their car's gone. Yeah. And no dialogue with the manufacturers, again, you can't make any change. Yeah. Damageability, you'll have higher average repair costs, more expensive technology. Generally, those are sensors, ECUs placed in sort of sensitive positions where if you have an accident, they're damaged. And, cheaper designed vehicles make for poorer safety for the citizens, regardless of which citizens and regardless of which country. Yeah. So, here are the areas I'd like to talk about: consumer awareness, vehicle security, damage and repair, parts costs, and what I think having a system like this in the Philippines will do for you, the benefits to you. The customer, your customer, he really is the key and the driver to making manufacturers change how they design their cars. Let's just say, as an example, Honda Civic and Toyota Vios. If you have a Honda Civic that is, say, rated at Group 8 and a Toyota Vios that's rated at Group 12, then Honda will sell more Civics if the insurance premium is a lot less. That will then leave Toyota to think, hang on a minute, how can we compete with Honda? Toyota will then need to look at their vehicle and resubmit for a rating based on design changes that will allow the group to be reduced. So the customer is really the key. Any group rating scheme that you put out there, you have to make sure they're very aware of this. In the Thatcham UK, we have a website. It's generally, I think last year we had 1 million hits looking at the insurance group. And we also put our ratings out to every single magazine. So whether it's magazines like Top Gear, Build, all those magazines will carry the rating for that vehicle alongside the cost, the horsepower, you know, 4-door, 5-door, etc. Vehicle security. I watched a vehicle security presentation this morning, and we believe that at Thatcham the best way to reduce vehicle theft is to design it out. If you design it out of the vehicle, the thief can't steal the vehicle, so that your design is in online fitment of things such as alarms, immobilizers, you know, vehicle identification systems. Yeah. We then produce, you know, we look at every single brand new vehicle that comes to our market. We test it, we break door handles and the steering column, we try and remove the immobilizer and fit a new one. That car has to remain secure for 15 minutes. Scotland Yard once did they looked at through cameras at crimes being committed. They found that thieves generally move on to the next target after around 5 minutes. So if the car cannot be stolen, they will move on. We then produce a star rating, and again, the public can view this star rating. It's a great driver in reducing vehicle theft in the UK. Because if you have Mazda who got 1 and 1 and Toyota who got 5 and 4, the 5 and 4 car is going to sell more models because it's more secure. You don't want your wife or husband, they go to the shops with the family, they go inside, they come out, the car's gone. You don't want that to happen. Got another,
Can go.
another video here. Okay, so that was just one of the tests we do. Let me go back a couple of slides because you might not have saw that one. So the star rating is at the bottom. I'll have to keep turning around just to make sure I keep clicking the thing. The star rating is at the bottom. That is what the public can see. You can access that 24/7. The areas we cover on the left here: body security, electronic security, and ID. Let me go past that. So this slide is a theft comparison of the UK and Southeast Asian vehicle. So everybody in here should know the Fortuner. You'll see that the UK has an actual 5 and 4 rating, and the Southeast Asian vehicle has an actual 1 and 1 rating, which means it's really, really poor in comparison to its European counterpart. And that's because the manufacturers will remove parts or fit parts in different locations to save cost. What we have here is the number of theft per 1,000 vehicles. It shows UK, Italy, Finland, Northern Ireland, France, and Germany. Down the left-hand side, it has 1992 alarm systems introduced, 93 immobilizers introduced. 94 we introduced the security team at Thatcham, and in 95 we commenced new vehicle security assessments. If you notice, the UK one is gradually going down, very gradually. In 1996 we had a recorded 600,000 incidents a year. We're actually a little bit better off than most of our European counterparts. Germany, they don't often log a lot of their crimes, which is why it's a flat line. Annual costs to the insurers from theft claims of a private car. cumulative theft savings from 2006 of £1 billion, which is approximately 70 billion pesos. So, you know, if you can reduce theft, you'll get a large return. Okay, this is an interesting slide. It shows damageability. Starts at 1990, finishes at 2011, and we reviewed 10 to 15 vehicles. So in 1990, it shows the average time taken to repair the front of the car and the rear of the car was 35.3 hours and 37.8 hours respectively. And by 2011, by working with the manufacturers at CAD level, so we're talking before pre-production, at CAD level, we're able to influence design and therefore drive it down to 13.9 and 8.9 hours respectively. Yeah, and that's just by, smarter design. What we want to try and do is have the energy from an accident remain on the outside of the vehicle and not travel inside. The reduction of repair times driven by group rating has led to lower parts costs and overall insured repair costs. So on the left we have some independent research that shows Germany and the UK keeping very, very low parts costs. Within the group rating program itself, we cap what's known as a basket of parts. The basket of parts are the 25 most used parts in repair. So hoods, lights, bumpers. We cap those parts at a certain level, and you can see from the chart on the left that our parts costs haven't gone up significantly, while the rest of Europe have. Also, comparing favorably on total cost of an insured repair, on the right, you have Germany at the highest, and Canada and the US and UK in the middle. We're comparing quite well. Again, the cap, the redesign of the vehicle gives us a low cost of repair. So here's another chart. I have many charts. It's an analysis of the insured repair estimate showing reduction in real terms. So we've stripped out inflation in the left-hand chart, and it shows you that parts costs in green have actually gone down. So since 2006, using group rating and capping those parts, we've actually driven parts costs down. The only thing on that chart that has actually risen is paint and materials. We have actually just had legislation introduced in the UK that water-based paints are the only paints you can now use. So due to the difference in paints and the difference in the materials, that's the only thing that's risen. But the benefit model over a 10-year period, which is the one on the right, shows about a £1.5 billion saving. So that's just over 10 years. So, technology review, old versus new. You all know this vehicle. I've taken this from Thailand, and you all insure it. On the left-hand side, you have the old one, and on the right-hand side, you have the new one, 2012 versus 2013. If you are, in fact, as insurers, underwriting it exactly the same, then I want you to take your money out, put it on the table and set it on fire right now, because that's what you're doing. The top grade parts basket for the old G8 was 166,124 pesos against the G9 of 205,000 because of the technology difference. They put a very, very small sensor behind the grille, just behind the H, so that when you now have a front impact, your costs go up incredibly. If you don't understand that when you underwrite, then you're underwriting that risk incorrectly. If you do understand that, then you'll underwrite that risk correctly, and therefore you will have to put the premium up slightly, but with risk comes higher premium. So this is a Volvo C30. The thing which I would like you to pay attention to is the beam along the back. So there's a thick beam quite low down over there at the back of the vehicle. That is an energy absorption unit known as a bumper beam. Cost is very minimal. This is a vehicle which you can buy in this region, but sell very well, in Europe and around the world. This is a very, very good example of good design. These are very, very bad examples, good examples of bad design. So this is a Mazda 2 and a Toyota Vios. I wouldn't want to be sat in the Vios. If any of you own Vioses, you might want to sell them tomorrow. Good luck. Now, what we have here is the difference between Europe and Southeast Asia. And why should we be any different? My office is in Bangkok, my home is in Bangkok. Why should we be any different? Why should we be treated any different? Is our lives not as important? With group rating, I am pushing in Thailand to get these added. And I have been doing some work with Proton for the last 2 years. And Proton have said they will export all UK standard vehicles into Southeast Asia from the next small car, which will probably be next year, maybe towards the end of the year. So it is possible to get the manufacturers to change by working closely with them. This is the review of 3 cars you have on your roads. I don't know whether you can see clearly the numbers. I've changed them into Philippine pesos so you can see, but generally what it shows is that if you have a bumper beam, you reduce your costs by 50%, in some cases 60%. The bumper beam will accept the energy. That will mean that the force will stop at the bumper beam. Right now, you have no bumper beam, so the force will travel into the boot floor and into the people in the rear, maybe, or into the front and further into the front, meaning that that car will be off the road not just 2 days, but that car could be off the road 2 weeks. As an insurer, I can personally tell you, if I was your customer and somebody running the back of me, I'd want a hire car for the length of that time. So if it's 2 weeks, you've got 2 weeks additional hire car costs to pay rather than 2 days. Then you've got all of the paint and material costs to pay. Then you've got all the difference it costs because of the repair. It's got to go on a jig, it's got to have suspension, it's got to have fuel tanks. The costs go on. When in fact, if they fit a 200-pound bumper beam, bearing in mind the cost of a new car these days, 200 pound is nothing to add to that. You could save all that. That money could be saved. So what we do in Thailand is we look at all new vehicles. We now have 1,000 vehicles listed on our Thai database. All of them have groups next to it. What we find, though, is many are the same country to country. Those that are different we look at in their own country of origin, such as Proton. I have to travel to Japan normally 6, 7, 8 times a year, and Korea roughly the same, to do consultancy for the manufacturers so that they can meet these criteria. We then input the data in our office. We have, project managers who will take care of that. Every month we meet with a panel of insurers in Thailand, who are the group rating panel. We give them the list of the data. So what you actually see here, because I forgot to click that, is an example of that. So we have a code down the left-hand side that links every insurer together. So TH00367, which is a Subaru BRZ, is the same code in every insurance company. We also have a specific GIA code. So we're not really reliant on the Red Book. A lot of our insurers have ditched that now. As you can see right at the end, you have vehicle security rating. Again, for Asia, is in red to indicate that it's poor. And also we have the group rating, the actual number, second to last column, showing the differences. We can rate an entire, we could take the Vios family and rate it, and because of the accuracy we use, the top of the range model could be a different number to the bottom of the range model. Again, the top of the range model is going to be a higher risk. Bottom of the range model is going to be a lower risk. So it's important to get that risk correct. For 43 years, we've built up very, very good relationships with the VMs. Sometimes they don't like what we're saying, and sometimes we don't like what they're saying, but we generally will meet in the middle and shake hands, and everybody's happy. Also, being a founder member of ARCAR and Euro NCAP, it means that manufacturers are really, really, keen to work with us. Right. I need a video playing. So I've got video here of a BMW interview, if it'll play.
For us, the insurance group rating is important. I think insurance is one of those things that a little bit of a distressed purchase, people don't really want to buy it, but on the basis they have to buy it, it's as important as the vehicle price overall. One of the other things is critically important around parts pricing. So we'll work closely with our parts supply teams in Munich and with the team at Thatcham to establish what's the right market price for those, let's say, bumper parts or headlamp parts or whatever, to ensure that we get an optimum group rating. Particularly of recent times with the BMW i3, in terms of a lot of new materials on this car, a lot of carbon fibre, we've worked absolutely collaboratively in terms of getting the best repair methods, and I think the team from Thatcham have worked really well with our engineers in Munich to establish how should we go about repairing this car in a real life accident repair situation.
Okay, thank you. Last 5 minutes. I've got the last 5 minutes signed, so I'm going to have to do quick. So that shows that we can work with the manufacturers. They're willing to work with us. We actually did the repairs for them. Yeah, and they'll listen to what we're saying. So, if you had better data on newly launched vehicles, I think that would probably lead to about a 1% improvement on your loss claims ratio in your underwriting. That would probably give you a saving as an industry the first 2 years there of around 25 million pesos. I believe that's quite a lot of money. Yeah. Your theft benefit model. So the orange line is where it's going to go, and the line below it is where it would go if you had a proper theft criteria in place. So again, it's just simple things, like putting shields around immobilizers so they can't be removed, fitting alarms to more expensive models, having a good strong door handle so people can't break in, or a good strong steering column so it can't be pushed off down the road. And your parts and labor benefit model would look like that. So the blue line is showing you that over time it will reduce against what it will actually go. You will see reductions in your parts and labor. Remember, your labor will come down if you have a better designed car. because it'll take less time to repair. You'll have to use less parts, so there'll be less cost. If you have a 5 and a 10-year plan, you're going to have, it'll look something like that. Theft, parts and labor and underwriting, 116 million pesos savings, and over 10 years, 239 million pesos saving. And the figures that we worked out for the Philippines were set at 1%. In the UK, our parts cost reduction is running at 5%. So if you can imagine the difference, imagine what it could be. Now, this is quite an important slide. This is where your care of duty comes in as well. So you have a care of duty to protect your citizens, to try and give them the best possible vehicle they can get. Yeah, this is showing fatalities per 100,000 vehicles. And the Philippines is running at 606.1 per 100,000 vehicles. So the UK is running at 5.1. Yeah, I'm trying to bring to Thailand the same as what we took to the UK. I would like to try and bring to the Philippines exactly the same. I've proven in Thailand that it can run on a tariff system or a non-tariff system, as in the UK. It doesn't matter. It works on both. And also we do parts accreditation. Yeah. You can get a copy of my presentation, I believe it. You can have a look at it. It explains it clearly. You can see that where we credit non-genuine parts, so that's a part made by the same supplier who's made the genuine part, but just hasn't put the stamp on it, that it can be much less cost to you as an insurance industry. It's still the same part, but you don't have the right channels to bring those parts in. And the most important thing, my man is not here, Mr. K. He did actually present that at the AIC that he wanted harmonization of compulsory motor insurance across the region. We would like to have compulsory group rating across the region, and we're already talking to many of the other countries. Once we get, once you have a compulsory group rating system, all you as insurers have to worry about is the customer. The engineering side is taken care of for you. So, benefit summary group rating informs customers, car buyers, and this makes the vehicle manufacturers very responsive to desired change. Insurers can therefore influence vehicle design in the medium to long term, and benefits will be seen through reduced cost of repair related parts and theft. And we are committed to supporting these objectives by engaging all Asian insurance associations and operating one service customized to each country, because each country is different. In Singapore, they have very little theft, so we would weight differently there. We would weight differently here to Thailand. It would still be the same. It'd still be the same database. It'd still give you the same access, but it might give you slightly different risk variance on each individual car. So Thatcham can drive the standards from group rating in Southeast Asia, similar to those seen in the UK and emerging in Thailand. And with all 10 countries participating, vehicle manufacturers will have to respond. Thatcham's 40 years of experience combined with the established Thailand group rating system will deliver insurer needs and benefits. And Thatcham's new Plaza system, which is just basically, to brief, because I've got time up sign over here, is just a giant database which insurers will have access to 24/7. Anyway, I thank you for your time today. I hope that this has been interesting, and I will be coming back later if anybody has any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mins. So you see, I hope you have your eyes and ears wide open. Did I hear it right? Compulsory group rating system, a potential response for AFTA in 2015 as we harmonize with our competitors in the Southeast Asian region. For our next topic, I'm sure that you would still like your eyes wide open. But before we proceed, let me first acknowledge our very generous sponsors for this event. I have to do this. Our presenters, Asia Reinsurance Brokers, National Reinsurance Corporation of the Philippines, and Standard Insurance Company. Our major sponsors, we have BPIMS Insurance Corporation, Malayan Insurance Company, Charter Ping An Insurance, Aon Benfield Asia Property Limited, SQL Wizard Incorporated, and Tacham. For our minor sponsors, we have Plaridel Surety and Insurance Company, Top Brass Adjusters and Surveyors, Country Bankers Insurance, Corporate Guarantee and Insurance Corporation, Crawford and Company, Federal Phoenix Assurance Corporation, Pioneer Insurance, Ultimate Risk Solutions, and New India Assurance. Our next topic is very relevant with a magnitude 7.2 earthquake our country just experienced. Our next presentation is about restructuring a public-private earthquake facility. Are we prepared in the event that this natural phenomenon happen in Metro Manila? Our speaker for this topic has a career that spans almost 50 years in multinational risk management. He has worked extensively in the Far East, Middle East, Africa, Europe, and North America, principally for large multinational organizations such as IBM, Anglo-American Corporation, ExxonMobil, Jardine Matheson and Company, and the Virgin Group. Having retired to Malaysia in 2007, he was called back to work and served for a year as the insurance advisor to the Labuan International Business and Financial Center before being appointed as CEO of the organization in 2009. In this capacity, he reported through his board to the governor of Bank Negara, Malaysia. During his tenure, Labuan IBFC enjoyed a record period of growth in the international banking, insurance, and wealth management sectors. In June 2013, our speaker was appointed to lead the project to structure a public-private earthquake insurance pool in the Philippines. The Asian Development Bank is funding a program to assist the government via the Office of the Insurance Commissioner to set up this invaluable socio-economic resource for the Philippines. Ladies and gentlemen, let's all welcome Mr. David Kinlock.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I see it's 22 minutes past my closing time, so first of all, may I thank you all for coming. It's been a great pleasure to talk to you, and I look forward to seeing you after coffee. Please, no gratitude. Let me start with two of my usual health warnings. One is that you will see I am speaking to you as the managing consultant of the Hub, which is my little company in Labuan. I am not an employee of ADB. I am badly paid by ADB, but I'm not an employee of them. And the opinions that you're going to get are purely my own. They cannot be construed as being official. The other health warning is a new one, and I think it's important that I get it to you. A couple of people have said to me in the course of the last week or so, yeah, but you're white and you're strange, and what are you doing in the Philippines telling us about our local business? And it's actually a good point, except that I first came to the Philippines in 1981 when I was the risk manager of Jardine Matheson. I have worked with the insurance market here since then. I have adjusted losses and carried out risk management exercises in many of the Philippine islands, and I'm extremely at home here. There are, in fact, friends of mine in this audience that go back that far. So, folks, I'm very attached to this country and to its people, and I consider this probably the only job I would have come out of retirement to look at with any degree of seriousness. So what you're going to get today is actually fact, where we've been, where we are, and where we're going with this project. I'm going to try and keep opinion down to the minimum. The facts have been established not by ADB or by any one particular institution or organization, but by a collective of PIRA, the Insurance Commission, BSP, Department of Finance, international actuaries, and all kinds of strange people. And it just so happens that ADB have put up the money to enable them to do so. So that's where we're coming from. Oh, I might just mention, by the way, ADB are wonderful. You don't get staff. I've just spotted 5 different typos in this. If anybody finds any more, please let me know, and you don't get a prize. Thank you. Okay, let's start from the very beginning. Why earthquake? We've got flood, we've got typhoons, we've got tsunamis, we've got landslips, we've got everything else. But the simple fact of life, as I'm going to demonstrate to you, is that earthquake has the most devastating, or would have the most devastating effect on the most number of people, the most number of businesses, the most number of properties, the government balance sheet, and the country's entire financial system. Now, let me just prove this to you. I hope you can see this slide because it's very important. This is a slide that was produced by the Université Catholique in Brussels. And as you will, I hope, be able to see, and if you can't, never mind, whereas floods take something like 2.57 billion US dollars out of the local economy on an annual basis, a major earthquake would take something like $114 billion out of the system. $114 billion, 32.5% of the Philippines' GDP from a 7.2 earthquake in Metro Manila. And 7.2 is a horrible number because that was the number in Bohol last week. Interestingly enough, this statistic is borne out by Professor Solidum of Philvox's latest numbers and by our own numbers. We're all within about 5% of each other. So if you think, and this is property only, folks, this is property damage only. No contents, no removal of debris, no business interruption, no consequential loss. $100 billion. That's why this is important. The objective of the earthquake program, thank you, oh Lord, am I speaking quietly? Heavens above, so sorry about that. You should be relieved, never mind. The program is simply to provide a level of insurance coverage to those for whom currently earthquake insurance is not available. It is to relieve, to the maximum extent possible, the financial burden on government in the event of an earthquake disaster, and to protect and insure to the maximum extent possible the retail banks of the Philippines. Let me just walk you gently through these. Earthquake insurance is currently available in the Philippines at a price. It is particularly available to large multinational corporations and businesses, and by a government self-insurance, and that is effectively what it is, to the less fortunate in the country. It is currently, however, not readily available to medium residential homeowners and to SMEs. And this is what the program is going to be about. We'll talk about that in a moment. It is to relieve to the maximum extent government's liability, because everybody says, hey, something goes wrong and I'm not insured, government will look after me. And I want to stop there and go front and center to another discussion that's been taking place. This corporation, as we will discuss later, is going to be very large. It is going to have to be very large and have to be very well funded. And a lot of the equity in this corporation is going to have to come from international resources, both in terms of equity and in terms of reinsurance capacity. There is an argument being put forward that this somehow removes this corporation, this entity, from Filipino control. And nothing could be further from the truth. If we accept that the important part of this is to take risk and financial risk off the balance sheet of Philippines Inc., the government, the insurance companies, the investors, and the residents, then obviously that risk must be transferred elsewhere, and that risk, therefore, must be transferred to international sources. However, this is going to be a Philippines-registered corporation. It will be licensed by the Insurance Commission of the Philippines. It will be approved by the Department of Finance and BSP. There will be Philippines equity involved. It will be managed in the Philippines. It will be insuring Filipino risk in pesos. So can we please, to those of you who are pursuing this argument, stop it? This is sensible use of international financial resources for the benefit of this country. There is, interestingly enough, another argument which says, hey, David, mortgaged property in the Philippines is always insured because we, the banks, make sure that it is. Sadly, however, if you take, as we have done, the estimated total value of properties insured against earthquake by the market, by PIRA, by you guys, and you then relate it to the total amount of mortgages granted by the retail banks in this country, as reported to BSP, there is a massive gap. There is a gap in excess of 100 trillion, yes, that was a T, folks, trillion pesos. So there is still a huge liability sitting out there waiting to be covered. These are the main objectives of this program. Definitions. Now, let me stress these definitions are not set in stone. I'm putting them up because these are the numbers that the various working groups involved in this project are currently discussing. A middle-class residential property is one with a value of between 3 and 12 million pesos. Might be 15, might go down to 2, but those are the numbers. An SME is defined in one of two ways. There is a legal definition and there is an accounting definition. These two areas are still being discussed in committee, but it'll give you an idea of what we're looking at. Why only middle class and SMEs? Because other groups are catered for by other markets. The less fortunate can rely on the government to a very large extent. The well-off can either say, hey ho, I've built my house so it will be incredibly solid and I don't care, or I've got the money anyway, or yes, I have access to such insurance as is currently available. And big business in all of its various forms, of course, has access to industrial insurance. So there isn't an issue there. The issue is in this middle class and SME bracket. There may be some access to insurance, but there is very little education and very little understanding. We did a survey about 9 months ago of the target market. I'm sure the gentleman from Direct Asia will appreciate this. 11% of the people that we approached in the target market said that they were either unaware of the availability of insurance, but that if it was affordable, they would buy it. That compares in other countries with Turkey at 1%, with Taiwan at 3 or 4%, with Indonesia at 1%. 11% would buy. It is a huge market need that has to be filled. It doesn't need me to tell you why there has to be an earthquake program. Bohol did it for you. All of the other tremors that shake the Philippines tell you why there should be an earthquake market every single time. The government needs it, the people need it, And my friends, the marketing advantages and financial benefits to the members of PIRA make it perfectly sensible. Public institutions need it to cover their balance sheets, and people need it simply for peace of mind. So the need is self-evident, clearly and focusedly. Starting about 9 months ago, we looked at 6 different options. These are the 6 great options. And we represent an international working group which was established by ADB. This group is chaired by the Insurance Commissioner. Deputy chairs are Madeleine Varquet from ADB and your own chairman, Noel Kay. And there are representatives from MOF, BSP, from various of the large international reinsurers and various of the large brokers. So it is a very wide church that is covered by this group. The 6 options, quite simply, were a government-owned catastrophe reinsurer, I beg your pardon, a government-owned insurer, a traditional public-private co-insurance pool, similar to the MAC pool, which was managed by the government, same thing managed by the market, a public-private CAT reinsurer, and a public-private direct insurer. And let me just walk you through the various, the rationale behind we are where we are today. If we accept that the primary function of this entity is to take risk off the balance sheet of Philippines Inc., then anything which is owned by the government does not fit the bill. Can't work because the risk stays with government other than that which is able to reinsure. For that reason alone, we discounted any form of total government ownership. In addition, however, any such scheme would dilute your gross and net market premium. It would raise public suspicions about selective tax raising. It would require significant audit and compliance trails, and it would create what we're going to call a political challenge in the event of a major loss and the settlement of claims. So government-owned entities simply don't work. We then looked at the traditional co-insurance pools. Anything managed by a government entity is going to be unwieldy and complex, and that is not just in the Philippines. Every country that you go to in the world, when you say government-owned, government-managed, there are inevitably challenges in getting that organization to move swiftly and properly. And all of the government agencies that we talked to agreed with that view. Furthermore, PIRA yourselves would not and could not quite rightly accept that there was a situation where their funds in a co-insurance pool were managed by a third party, be it a government third party or any other independent entity. There was a very strong case put up for a privately managed pool similar to the MAC pool. And there were very good reasons for it, and I understand every single one of them. We explored them very, very carefully. And I want to explain to you, as the members of PIRA, why this option was ultimately discounted by your council as well as everybody else who was involved in this exercise. A catastrophe pool is different from a normal pool. With the MAC pool, with many other types of international pools, there is a steady rate of attritional loss. You pay claims every day, every week, every month. You can chart them, you can check them by cause, by cost, by location, by everything else. This is a catastrophe mechanism. There is no attritional loss. There are no hardcore ground rules that you can run on a similar basis. Because we are looking at losses when they become payable at a multi-billion-dollar level, it is absolutely essential that the pool has an international credit rating so that it will be able to obtain not only the necessary amount of international reinsurance, but the ART, the Alternative Risk Transfer Funds, on top of that to attract all of the people that need to come to support this type of operation. Remember that 100 million figure. Let's say that only 20% of that relates to middle class and SME, the market that we're particularly looking at. 20 billion EML, Metro Manila, not too far off. In order to get anywhere close to that, you're going to have to suck in every single dollar that exists in the international reinsurance and ART markets, and you can only do that with an absolutely rock-solid international credit rating. And in June of this year, the international credit ratings agencies changed the rules. They came up with this definition. The revised definition of a pool is any entity, you can read it for yourselves. The important bit is this. Each member of the pool is a guarantor of the pool. Each member is therefore jointly and severally liable for the other members of the pool. With now 69 insurance companies in this country, many of them quite small, many of them without international credit ratings, it would be absolutely impossible to get any sort of international credit rating for a locally domiciled Filipino pool. It's just that simple. And that is what killed this idea in the beginning. It's a wonderful idea in places like Turkey, Taiwan, Japan, as used to be, where you have insurance companies that have been established in some cases for well over 100 years with billions of dollars of net assets, rock-solid international credit ratings, etc. But it simply doesn't apply to the Philippines. You know, a lot of people have said to me, as we've been doing this, well, David, you know, let's take all of the international examples and let's see how we can make this work in the Philippines. We looked at Turkey, Romania, Taiwan, Japan, Indonesia, Venezuela, New Zealand. We looked at the entire range of international catastrophe pooling arrangements. None of them can apply in the Philippines. This needs a Filipino solution to a particular Philippines issue. So that, my friends, is why the pooling arrangement simply could not be pursued. The next option was a public-private reinsurance company. Again, very carefully looked at, but again discounted. If you look at the new business projections for a new entity, it is going to bring a lot of premium out of the woodwork. People who are not currently insured, people who currently have not been educated, who don't understand insurance, etc. And hey, that's great for you guys. That's great for the market. The only problem is that as the new insurance code is asking you all to increase your capital levels, as RBC is coming in instead of Solvency 1, and Solvency 2 is out there, it's out there. Any large and rapid influx of premium, which would be great for you, but it would completely distort your solvency ratios. It would undoubtedly give you reinsurance buying issues, because every international reinsurer would rather buy from something large than something small. And it creates, as another domestic reinsurer, never mind its relationship to Phil Nari or why we should expand Phil Nari, it creates another link in the chain. Because if this project is going to be successful, we have to screw costs right down to the ground. And I'm going to touch on distribution in a little bit later. So if you have a front end or even a fronting reinsurer, insurance company that wants a reinsurance commission, the reinsurance company has to survive, A, through its retention, and B, through its reinsurance commissions to the international market. You are diluting the pot of premium, which gives you the original net rate, which the client pays, and you're increasing it inevitably. So after great and considerable discussion, it was decided and agreed by everyone concerned, and it was announced by the Insurance Commissioner at the International Working Group meeting on the 22nd of July this year, that there would be established a new, highly capitalized single product, direct catastrophe insurer. Now, you'll see in this slide it says monoline. We're going to have to change that because somebody said to me, does mono stand for monopoly? And I had to explain, no, it's just a single product. So we're going to call it a single product insurer from now on. This company will stand beside the existing market, not in front of it, not in competition with it, but it will provide by its very size the security that the insuring public require. By channeling on a compulsory basis, I'll come back to that in a minute, by channeling business into this company, it will relieve you, the market, of the risk. It will free up your capital to pursue other, hopefully more profitable lines of business. But one thing that we have said consistently, ladies and gentlemen, is that the market will not lose net income as a result of the establishment of this new corporation. Now, many of you I know write for gross premium and not for net profit. But as a wise old man once told me, turnover is vanity, profit is sanity. Because this is such a small part of the market anyway, there won't be a significant change in your gross written premium. Yes, you can see this great big pot at the end of the rainbow. You know, it's going to be compulsory, folks, we want some of it. But it's going to screw your loss rate, it's going to screw your capital ratios, it's going to provide you with an administrative nightmare, it's not going to be internationally acceptable. So let's focus on how we keep your net profit alive, which is a much more interesting thing to do. And we'll do that, when we come to the distribution section, through commission sharing arrangements, portfolio transfer arrangements, and a number of other mechanisms that are still being discussed in the various working groups. So we are looking now, we have appointed international actuaries, NMG, to this project. We've done some very rough numbers, and it looks like simply to service the business that we've got and the business we will be expecting in the first couple of years of operation, we will need a capitalization of something in the region of $400 million US. And that's why we need an international credit rating. The capital issues, the raising of capital is being dealt with elsewhere, but that is roughly the size of the company that you can expect to see coming into the market. And the way that it's going to come into the market is by a series, I got carried away there, didn't I? A series of sub-working groups who will be responsible to the international working group. On all of these groups, there are representatives of PIRA. There are representatives of the Insurance Commission, Department of Finance, there are independent lawyers and actuaries, and there is a representative of ADB, one representative. So again, do not think that this is something which is being imposed on the market, that is being driven from an external, amorphous international source. This is a Philippines-driven management initiative. And there are going to be 4 sub-working groups. The only way that this can work is if there is some form of compulsion to take out the insurance. 68.2%, according to BSP, of residential property in this country is not mortgaged through the banks. It is either inherited or it is owned by private financial resources, private loans, or people just pay cash. So there is a huge amount of property that is not effectively controllable by either the banks or by any other means. That means there has to be some level of compulsion. Now, we have seemingly some very strong political will for this to happen. And if you look at the economic argument, I think, which I very briefly outlined to you, you will see that that argument is quite perfectly defensible. One of the questions I get asked is, well, if you have a law that says you have to do it, you must have a penalty for breaking the law or a negative incentive as somebody so beautifully put it to me the other day, like negative profit, you know. Clearly, you can't send somebody to jail for not buying their earthquake insurance. Clearly, you cannot fine them an outrageous sum for not buying their earthquake insurance. So quite how that is going to be worked out, I simply, at this time, can't tell you. And I'm here, as I said earlier on, simply to give you facts. But the legal sub-working group are looking at this. They are looking at changes that may be necessary to the existing insurance code, changes that may be necessary to any other regulation, or any new regulations that may need to come in to deal specifically with this new entity. There will be discussions to be had, and many of these discussions will overlap between the legal, financial, technical, and distribution committees. Things like, what's the investment mix going to be? What are the exit clauses, exit routes available for international investors? How can we make this more attractive as a buy to the individual customer and to you as PIRA members to become involved at one level or another to suit yourselves? These are ongoing discussions, and there is nothing I have to report which is factual, so I'm not going to report anything. The financial group is looking at the capital structure, how we get our credit rating. We're talking to not just one, but several international credit rating agencies to make sure that we get this rating as quickly as possible. We're looking at the rates from the ground up. Now, one of the interesting things that Mr. Crisol brought up at the last insurance summit was that the tariff rate for, or the Insurance Commission designated rate, for earthquake insurance and private dwelling houses is between 10 and 44 cents, depending on construction, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. A quick study shows you that the actual net rate being charged at the moment is only 8.5 cents on average. We're looking at pitching a flat nationwide number north of 10 but south of 15 cents to start with. And we believe that we can gain both investor support and international reinsurance support for that number. There are people in this audience, who shall be nameless, who will tell me that that's going to be quite impossible, couldn't be done, it's a monoline company, don't be silly, David. Short answer is, international reinsurance market, if you are supporting these rates at the moment for the individual members of PIRA, we are quite sure that you will find a way to support a larger, better capitalized organization. The financial group is also looking at enterprise risk management and corporate governance, because this company has got to be governed to the highest standards of international transparency and compliance. There is no other way of doing it. The technical group will look at the policy wordings, they will look at reinsurance, they will look at portfolio transfer, they will look at building constructions, building codes, and everything else that goes into it. And the distribution group are advising us on the use of existing channels, who is doing what, consumer education, public affairs, public relations, etc. So, in general terms, what's this thing going to look like? And I had it a moment ago. Come on. Come to Uncle David. There you go. This is the chart that again has been agreed by everyone involved. The thing's going to be called EPIC, which I rather like. I know I like it because I invented it. The Earthquake Protection Insurance Company of the Philippines is it going to be its real name. It will have a local board of directors, an international advisory group, an audit, investment and compliance committee, and a management team, which we sincerely hope, management team and staff, will be made up of Filipinos. Local insurance companies, local banks, parents of local companies will be invited to participate. And any insurance company that meets the investment criteria, any of you or your parent companies, will be very welcome to come into this. Equity participation is being actively sought even as we speak, and I am getting phone calls at ADB are getting phone calls saying, what is this? This looks rather bright, rather good. We've got to do it. There will be some form of government participation, and look at this again as part of the growth of Philippines Inc. The government now has an international investment credit rating. If we can put in an insurer that has a similar level of credit rating, how wonderful is that in the whole National Economic Development Plan? That's what we're trying to do. So there will be some, but very limited, government participation, and, as I said, equity from wherever we can get it. Folks, that is the potted version. I want to leave you with one final thought. I was trawling through the net a few months ago, and I found this quotation from Senator Eduardo Angara, Sonny Angara, Senator Jr. It's on my wall in my office, and it's what gets me to the office every day. And I'd like you to think about this very, very carefully. Thank you all very much for your time. No time for questions. Talk to me outside if you want me. Thank you.
Thank you very